is the Blessed One. Blessed is the giver of blessings. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Blessed is the Blessed One. Blessed is the giver of blessing. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Come all of you. Come all of us and bless the one who blesses. Come. Come all of you. Come all of us and bless the one who blesses. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Come all of you. Come all of us and bless the one who blesses. Come. Come all of you. Come all of us and bless the one who blesses. Do-do-do,
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שברחים גם יחד. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שברחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שברחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שברחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שברחים גם יחד. שלום
We'll invite you to be seated. Shir lamalot esainai el heharim mehayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz Hayiten lamot raglecha Al yanum shomrecha Hine lo yanum velo yishan Shomer Yisrael Adonai Shomrecha Adonai Tzilcha Al Yad Yeminecha Yomam HaShemesh Velo Yakeka Ve'areach Balayla Adonai Yishmorcha Mikora Yishmor et nafshecha Adonai Yishmor tzedcha uvoecha Me'ata ve'ad olam Me'ata ve'ad olam.
We lift our eyes to the mountains. On this day especially, we wonder, from where will our help come? And yet we know our help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let our foot give way. Our protector will not slumber, for the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is our guardian. God is our protection at our right hand, so that the sun shall not strike us by day nor the moon by night. God will guard us from all harm. God will guard our souls, our going out and our coming in, now and forever.
Amen.
Good morning, friends, and welcome. On behalf of our entire clergy team and congregational leadership, and with an especial welcome to our Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Bob Orkand, we welcome all of you who have gathered here in person and via the live stream on this day of congregational mourning. The passing of Cantor Richard Silverman is first and most significantly a personal loss for his family, to whom he was a beloved husband, a doting father, and a wonderful grandfather. And we know that Cantor Silverman's passing is also a communal one for our congregation. He played a very special role in so many of our lives. And so as I saw many of you this morning coming in and greeted many of you, I found myself saying, I am sorry for our loss. Cantor Richard Silverman was himself a tree of life. And all of those of us who were close to him found happiness, inspiration, guidance, and love. And so there is so much love in this room. Love for our Cantor Richard Silverman, now of blessed memory. Love for his family, who shared their husband and father with all of us so generously. Love for Richard's voice and music and his beautiful soul. Richard nurtured love and was loved in return. His memory and his music will always be an abiding blessing.
One of the many gifts that Cantor Silverman brought to our community was that he wrote so much music. As a composer myself, he would often say to me, "You know, I wrote more than those 2 songs." I know that he wrote a song for every single bar and bat mitzvah that he did. And I want to offer one song of his that I came across recently, a song called "The Gift." It's a beautiful melody that speaks to the gifts that each of us bring to this world, to the environment, to our communities, and I think speaks so clearly to the soul of our beloved Cantor.
What have we given to make our life better? What seeds have we planted to make our world grow? Who have we touched with the warmth that's within us? Where will the road lead? This we don't know. Will we be silent in a world that is crying? Or will we speak out the truth that may sting? Will the odds be against our reaching tomorrow? Or has the time come when together we'll cling? So listen, you people who on the earth roam, search deep inside you and then look around. For only when truth reaches your essence, may the source of our lives in the future be found. What have we given to make our life better? What seeds have we planted to make our world grow? Who have we touched with the warmth that's within us? Where will the road lead us? This we don't know. Where will the road lead us? This we don't know.
The 23rd Psalm has accompanied us through the valley of shadows, through mourning and loss for generations. It describes a time of comfort and ease and peace. God is my shepherd. I shall lack for nothing. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. God guides me in the right paths for the sake of God's name. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for God is with me. God's rod and staff, they comfort me. God prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. God has anointed our heads with oil, and our cups overflow. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of God forever. Amen.
Ecclesiastes wrote, "For everything there is a season, for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep silence and a time to speak." So this is a time for a few representatives from the amazingly robust and beautiful community who knew and loved Richard, a few representatives of his dearest loved ones to offer reflections, words of gratitude, words of memory. We'll begin with his son, Elon.
apologize to those in the front. It's probably the splash zone. I probably would have come up here and just given my version of Dad's biography, that he was the youngest of 5 siblings. As he put it, he grew up in a house full of women. His oldest sister, Margie, got sick and passed away at 6. Ina Ruth was born in 1934. And Alan, soon after, in 36, with Down syndrome. Molly lived to see her son become a Special Olympics bowler. Alan's foster home was a regular stop when we visited Grandma. We took him and Grandma to his favorite restaurant, IHOP. Alan loved his baby brother. Alan lived to almost 70, and Grandma passed not too long after at 99. Sorry, I was weaving from my subject. January 12th, 1942, Molly, at 41 years old, had Richard Berry. Molly had said Margie was the perfect child. Ina was the athlete, Rena was Molly's prettiest baby, and Richard was Molly's prince. He was loved, and he was very spoiled. His sisters picked on him, and Molly protected him. She taught him to avoid getting hurt, but if anything does hurt, trust the doctor to fix it. He lived by that forever. Dad was always open with us that his father, Cantor Saul Silverman, was never around for him. He had supported his family with 3 jobs. Saul's absence helped contribute to Dad becoming a Cantor too. Prior to those adult decisions, Richard was a pretty normal kid. He liked sports, he played baseball and basketball, and enjoyed riding his bike. He must have had a bad experience learning to swim because he never did. He was always afraid to get hurt, and he never broke a bone. Once, while talking to my aunts Ina and Rena, they had a good laugh detailing how much of a crybaby Richard really was. Dad loved being Jewish. Reform Judaism was the biggest part of Richard's life so far. Dad hoped that his bar mitzvah, becoming a man, would help make it clear that his father was proud of him. He craved that assurance greatly. Grandpa Saul was a cantor at a large Hollywood temple, and there were many hundreds of guests. Richard stood up on the bima with the rabbi and his dad and read his Torah portion. 13-year-old Richard still did not feel his own dad was proud. So Dad pressed on and leaned into the music. He learned piano, guitar, and found more confidence in his voice. As Dad was nearing graduation from Hollywood High, he had few interests outside Judaism and music. His desire to connect with his father set his path to LA City College and the Hebrew Union College. I don't know that Dad ever got that validation from his father that he was looking for. It was at Hebrew Union College in 1964 that Mom and Dad met. They started dating, and not too far into their relationship, Barbara, now Batya, had plans to go away for the weekend. Richard's fear of getting hurt was also emotional as well as physical, and fearing he would lose his true love over a weekend, he asked her to marry him before she left. They did marry August 22nd, 1964. I see no reason to relate stories of my younger self, since Dad had no filter, with anyone and was happy to share in every conversation my triumphs, trials, bad decisions, and embarrassing moments. I'm sure y'all know. Dad made it very clear he would not make his own father's mistake. I know he was proud. I know he loved me. He told me every day. He hugged and kissed me every day. Yet Dad showed love with affection. He was a kisser on the lips, and that never changed. My friends had never seen such a thing, and they said so. Dad was affectionate, we're kissers, deal with it. Maybe it's no longer an accepted practice, and maybe it never was. Keep in mind, Dad was in college in the 60s, peace and love everywhere. Dad had strong beliefs rooted in the Bible. So when he was drafted to the Vietnam War, he fought it. Not with a fake doctor's note, but with the truth. Dad was always a man of peace. He was a conscientious objector. He would not be trained to fight, nor would he ever commit violence against anyone. I don't think he actually won that fight in court. I think the war ended before he lost. He would never compromise that. Contrary to that, Dad did love action, detective, and fantasy stories. He read more than anyone I've ever known. He loved the movies, even worked at a theater when he was 16. The violence was okay in those stories because they were make-believe. Growing up fearful, he had tremendous respect for those that weren't. Though he could never serve, he revered those that did. And he often told me that he was way too afraid to try the thing that I had just got hurt doing. When I was young, Dad was quite active. He had a competitive nature, and when it came to sports, he played racquetball with friends. He had a good jump shot and layup, and he never let me beat him. I never beat him at tennis either, not even when I was 17. And then when he was diagnosed with diabetes, he had taken up running. I don't remember how often, but I know he would run a few miles at a clip. And once, I had joined him, and he lost me. I gave up. He was just too fast for me with those long legs. He never let me keep up. And Dad was trendy. He kept up with fashion. His perm matched his polyester jumpsuit. Dad loved to keep up with technology. We were the first on the block with a VCR. And back, we had video pong in the 80s. And he even got a biorhythm machine, which was supposed to help us identify our inner moods. He always got the newest tech, from the first Casio calculator watch to a Kindle to iPhones and tablets, and he had lots of them. He had it all and never learned to use any of it. But he kept buying it. In fact, Dad bought anything anyone had to sell. At one point, Mom and Dad had 7 cell lines because he would get frustrated and bring his broken phone over to Verizon, where they would scramble to help him, and then he would leave with a new device and a new line. Dad didn't just buy tech, he was a shopper. He never pinched a penny. Serene and I always preferred he take us shopping because Mom had strict limits. He loved Costco. Why does a man need 5-year supply of eye drops? Or 8 very similar Kirkland sweaters? I already sent Amazon and Temu sympathy cards for losing their best customer. Most of you know he had type 2 diabetes and avoided sugar publicly, but privately, he had a stash of candy in the car. He loved fast food. I mean, all his life. As a teenager, he couldn't even get fat, 5'11" and 165. His after-school snack was at the drugstore. He'd get a malt, fries, and a rare burger. Always rare. Then he would go home and eat dinner. Even as recently as 3 weeks ago, I brought him to a doctor's appointment. He wanted to go to Duchess. He probably liked Duchess so much because he could order that Big D rare. But he loved all the fast food and greasy spoons. He and Bob Orcan used to have a weekly lunch date. Most often, they'd end up at Pal Joey's. Speaking of lunch dates, Dad's effort to be present in both Serene and my childhood brought about monthly dates. He took us each on our own, usually lunch and a movie. Sometimes it was more exciting plans. He had taken me to a bunch of A's games and Raiders games and several Warriors games. We did go to a Yankees game here, but I don't count that. He had told me I was worth it. Dad took great joy in my own excitement. He liked to live vicariously because he was too afraid to do it himself. That never waned. In fact, he was always most proud of his family. His wife of 61 years is a never-ending love story that taught me to be gentle, sensitive, and loving. Dad's example was how I wanted to be a husband and father. Dad loved Serene, and he loved me, and he loved Heather. My sunshine became his too. He gave her all the love and affection as she rapidly became his favorite child. I'm sure he recognized her kindness and love and her commitment to Tikkun Olam. It probably helped that as his grandkids' mother, Sunshine included he and Mom in everything. He had a special love and pride in his 3 grandkids. He was ever present at every event they had: dance, gymnastics, baseball, band concerts, awards, graduations. He was always there. It was important for him to be there. And he loved you, his congregation, his friends. You are all also family. He loved being a part of your families. Brits and baby namings, bar and bat mitzvahs, weddings, funerals, minions. I know how important he is to you because everywhere he went, all over the world, you recognized him, you hugged him, and you told him exactly that. And he loved that. I can never tell you how thankful I am to all of you for the outpouring of love and support. We know you share our sorrow and grief. May Dad's love uplift us all for a better tomorrow. Amen.
Richard's daughter, Serene.
I loved being Cantor Silverman's daughter. I have so much pride in that. It is part of my identity. I'm so grateful for him, for my love of music and of Judaism. One of the greatest joys of my life was being in the congregation on the high holy days, listening to him sing Avinu Malkeinu, Kol Nidre, and Shema Kolenu. The way he sang Shema Kolenu was so magical and spiritual. I could actually feel his connection with God fill up the whole sanctuary. I recall one year there was a big thunderstorm on Yom Kippur. And during the Kol Nidre service, when he hit a high note, the power went out in the whole temple. Afterwards, he jokingly came up to me and said, "Did you see what I did there?" With a big smile on his face. He loved being a cantor, and he was very proud to be Jewish. He loved writing all kinds of songs and to share his gifts with everyone. Every time we were on the bima together, it was special to me. Whether he was chanting shofar calls for me on Rosh Hashanah or when we were singing his songs together. I started singing with him at Shabbat services when I was just a little girl. singing new music that he would write with his beautiful harmonies. He would also take me around with him to the Jewish retirement homes in the Bay Area and to sing with him for the residents there. I recently reminded him of those times when he moved to the River Valley retirement community and how much fun we had and how many times he accidentally clocked me in the head with his guitar because I was standing on the wrong side. Yeah. I was so fortunate to sing with him on 3 of his albums, which I've been playing a lot this past week, and singing along with him. I'm so grateful to have that connection with him. When I was younger, I considered becoming a cantor like him and my grandfather, Cantor Silverman, before him. But my dad was the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And as I said, I much preferred being Cantor Richard Silverman's daughter. I really love telling people that my dad wrote Eitz Chaim, the Tree of Life song, which he wrote when he was just a song leader at Camp Saratoga, which then became Camp Swig. He really dreamed of making millions off that song. But it was his claim to fame. By the way, he'd want you to know that his music is still available on oisongs.com. You know, it's not always easy being a clergy kid. Elon didn't enjoy it as much as I did. But as I said, I really loved it. I would introduce myself. I'm Serene Silverman. I'm Cantor Richard Silverman's daughter. At all of our temples and at Camp Swig, I really thought my dad was a rock star. I struggled to fit in regular school, but I always felt loved and accepted at Temple. Temple was always my second home and my second family. There were times when I tried to use my Cantor's daughter privileges to my advantage, but I also learned that when you break the rules, at a youth group overnight at the temple with a bunch of your friends, they will call your father the Cantor first. And being Cantor Silverman's daughter did not prevent me from getting in trouble. Lesson learned. My dad loved our family so much. Growing up, we had family dinners together and we went on family vacations. He gave us big hugs and told us he was proud of us. And he told us he loved us all the time. He always welcomed our friends over to the house and joked with everybody. He loved his grandchildren and welcomed over their friends in the same way. When my dad was young, his father worked all the time, and they didn't have a close relationship. So it was very important to my dad that he do things differently with me and Elon, and he definitely succeeded. When we were kids, once a month, Elon and I got to have one-on-one dates with Dad. We continued our daddy-daughter dates my whole life, and my dad continued that tradition with his grandchildren too. I love just hanging out with my pops, just listening to him go on and on about a book he was reading or talk about some of the players on the UConn women's basketball team, which he loved to watch. He would sit in his chair and watch TV while reading and eating peanuts in the shell, making a mess. Anyone who knew my dad knew he liked corny puns and sometimes inappropriate, sarcastic one-liners. Sometimes so cringeworthy I wanted to hide, but that was my dad. My dad loved to buy gadgets and new technology. Back in the 1980s, we were one of the first families on our block to get a microwave oven, cable TV, a remote control, and a very large VCR. That popped up. He still loved to buy new gadgets, but the problem is, now the technology is so complicated. He would say, "Serene, don't tell your mother I bought this, but I don't know how it works. Can you figure it out and teach it to me? And don't tell your mother I bought it." My parents were married for almost 61 years. I'm so amazed. Now that's true relationship goals. My father loved my mother so very much and often referred to her as his bride, his best friend, and the boss. That kind of love is so rare and such a gift and a great example for us. Elon, Dad was so proud of you. You are a great family man, just like our dad. Thank you for everything you do for our family, for always being there. You are a great man, husband, father, son, and brother. I appreciate your patience with me. I am so proud to be your sister. Our father was a true mensch, a one of a kind. He was a great husband, a great father and grandfather. I wish I could have one more daughter Daddy date. I wish I could have one more of those great big hugs. It has been an honor and a privilege to be the daughter of the great Cantor Richard B. Silverman. Thank you for being my dad.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Our Rabbi Emeritus, Cantor Silverman's longtime collaborator and colleague, Rabbi Bob Orkand.
Thank you. Elon, Serene, thank you for the memories. And Elon, I was thinking of your dad eating food in his car. And I learned early on that if he was going to drive me anywhere, I would take a towel with me. That was your dad. So on August 17th, 1974, I officiated at my sister's wedding at Stephen Wise Temple in Los Angeles and was told that the congregation's assistant cantor came with the rental of the sanctuary. My sister couldn't care one way or another. She just wanted to get married. But I was a little concerned because I had never met the cantor and I didn't know what to expect. That cantor was Richard Silverman. He was very helpful and patient, given I had only been ordained a year. I came to learn that he was the son of Cantor Saul Silverman, the well-known cantor at Temple Israel of Hollywood, California. And given that I grew up in Los Angeles, I had heard of him and had even met him a few times during my rabbinic training. And today I remember that Batya's mother was the cook at Hebrew Union College up on Appian Way. And of course, all these things didn't come together until much later. Fast forward 13 years to 1987. I was by then the rabbi here at Temple Israel. We were in need of a cantor and began interviewing candidates recommended to us by the American Conference of Cantors. One of those cantors was Richard Silverman, who had been serving a congregation in Northern California and was ready for a change. I know that name, I said to the Temple committee. I think he was the cantor that co-officiated with me at my sister's wedding. I liked him. Let's interview him. And as they say, the rest is history. Some years ago, I was asked to serve on a committee, a national committee, that was created to deal with rabbi-cantor relations. It seemed that in many Reform congregations, rabbis and cantors were not getting along. There were always questions about who was in charge of what. To whom did the cantor report? Who determined what music was to be sung at worship services? At the first meeting of that committee, I said that I couldn't relate to any of the issues that they were talking about. The cantor of Temple Israel and I get along just fine. We've come to understand that I don't sing and the cantor doesn't speak. Of course, that last part was not exactly true. The only direction I ever gave Cantor Silverman was to share with him my sermon topics so that he could find appropriate music that might relate to what I was going to talk about. The bottom line was that he and I respected each other, and more important, liked each other. In fact, I can honestly say that Richard was my best friend during the years we worked together. What Richard brought to Temple Israel was a love of Jewish music, the ability to compose music, well over 300 pieces, that expressed his love of Judaism and of the Jewish people. That music was and still is sung in congregations far and wide because the music was simple and the words profound. Though Richard would tell me almost daily, I get no royalties. Richard, as you all know, loved people, especially the young people he trained for bar and bat mitzvah. As you've already heard and you've all experienced, Richard was a hugger. He would envelop his students in a bear hug that conveyed the message that they were truly loved by their Cantor. In the years of rising concern about sexual abuse, which caused us and a lot of other places to put glass in office doors, I would often say to Richard, you have to stop hugging your students, especially the girls. He would nod and continue hugging. That was Richard. It was clear to all that Richard was a man of many interests. You've already heard about many of them. He read several newspapers a day, had a good understanding of what was happening in the world. He loved sports of all kinds and was a regular viewer of televised games. He was genuinely concerned about a variety of social issues and served on the Social Action Commission of the Reform Movement. Of course, Richard, like all of us, was not perfect. He sometimes talked a little bit too loud. He refused to dress as Esther for our Purim celebrations. And that was always left to me. And I cannot tell you how many times I and others would tell him to tuck in his shirt or get his suit pressed. We tried. But that was Richard. But I still don't understand how his suits would come out of the closet more wrinkled than when they went in. As I've said, Richard had a big heart and a love of people. And above all, he loved his family. It was obvious to all who knew them that he and Batya were a team. Though their kids, Elon and Serene, dealt with a number of challenges over the years, Richard and Batya never gave up on them. They were supported and loved, as were their grandchildren. And it is now their turn to provide Batya the support she will need in the coming days and months. I want to say something to the members of Temple Israel, for whom Richard was their Cantor, all of you. Joyce, Seth, and I were blessed to say that about him, that he was our Cantor. For 24 years, he stood with you under the chuppah, at your baby namings, and countless, perhaps hundreds, of b'nai mitzvah. He wept with you in grief and celebrated the joyful moments as well. He sang your stories and the stories of our people. He walked with you through life's sacred moments. For Richard, the heart of the cantorate was to teach, guide, and ensure that the next generation knows the melodies of our people. He mentored so many students here at Temple Israel. Each one has carried the Torah, not just physically, but across generations. Every student, every note, they are Richard's legacy. He understood that song is how we remember, how we grieve, and how we hope. He understood that celebration is how we express our deepest gratitude. He understood that we Jews sing because we are alive. We celebrate because we are blessed. And for so many of us, for all of us, Cantor Richard Silverman was there with us through it all. And so, Richard, my friend, my partner, I hope you are joyfully bim-bombing wherever you are.
Our congregant, Alex Chinggis.
Before I begin my prepared remarks, I just want to remind many of you of something. During Cantor Silverman's time as part of our full-time clergy, the sanctuary was set up a little differently. This pulpit, Rabbi Orkin's pulpit, was a little bit to my right. Cantor Silverman's pulpit was to the left. Cantor Cadrain is in the seat that he most enjoyed occupying here in the sanctuary. And as these wonderful words have been shared by his family, by his dear colleague, I'm struck with this feeling that he is right there in his spot, taking such comfort from the outpouring of support and love and strength that all of you that are here are giving his family to help them navigate these days. O thou who givest life and ordainest death, we trust in thee. Thou hast placed us upon earth, bestowed upon us a mind to seek truth, a heart to perceive love and beauty, and thou wilt not crush it all forever, for thou dost establish the work of thy hands. Dear friends, these words are from an excerpt from a memorial meditation found in the Union Prayer Book. Whenever I have encountered this passage, I have found myself considering the word establish, as in establish the work of thy hands. A verse that comes from Psalms 90, verse 17. It leads me to ponder how it is that some, no matter how few or numerous the number of days allotted to them may be, seem to live on in perpetuity, revered for their contributions and their lasting impact felt for generations. What is it that we can learn from them so that we may be established in the way invoked by the psalmist? My best answer is in how we choose to use the gifts God blesses us with, and more importantly, how we use them to bless others. In the case of Cantor Richard Silverman, I cannot list any gifts that God withheld from him, nor that the Cantor did not use to bless others. This is a man for whom the work of his hands was established. The long list of tributes that have been shared in his memory cite his gifts of kindness, warmth, creativity, friendship, wisdom, heart, that he brought out the best in those around him, and especially his musicianship and his talent. And while we will always claim Cantor Silverman as our own at Temple Israel, we must remember that his holy work and service stretches back so long, surely even longer than his first installation in 1968. To put this lasting impact into perspective, I realized that during his time in Westport, 5 generations, 5, of my own family have known Cantor Silverman, participated in worship services and life cycle events led by him. 5 generations just in my own family. Consider that for much of the Cantor's tenure at Temple Israel, this has been a congregation of more than 1,000 families, many comprised of numerous individuals and each touched in myriad ways by the blessing of an encounter with the Cantor, and multiply this by his work outside of our own walls and before his arrival in Connecticut. My early recollections of Cantor Silverman may very well mirror your own. From the moment our family settled in Westport and became part of this temple, I was drawn to the Cantor. His warmth, kindness toward everyone he met made an immediate impression. Always upbeat, always offering a thoughtful word, he conducted himself in a manner that earned him the respect befitting a leader. One of the greatest sources of pride for a congregation is seeing their young people called to the Torah as B'nai Mitzvah. In Cantor Silverman's role here, he helped prepare as many as 100 students annually for this important day in their lives and that of their families. A daunting task for sure, but made memorable and enjoyable because of the Cantor's warm-hearted nature, skill for teaching, and sensitivity for learning differences. In fact, Cantor Silverman was recognized for his pioneering work, innovating ways of teaching material to those who may learn differently. The students and families that benefited from his sensitive approach undoubtedly left those experiences feeling a sense of accomplishment, fulfillment, and validation that may have been lacking in other areas of their life. His was the voice that brought the music of our liturgy to life, and on which our collective prayers and deepest longings ascended to the Lord. Some have shared that whenever they hear Avinu Malkeinu, they will forever hear and feel his voice in their heart. For others, it is the Shabbat blessings, while others recall his legendary original compositions, as we've heard, like Etz Hayim, Tree of Life, or his Mi Chamocha, Who is Like Unto Thee, which are a few of his own works that are widely sung and treasured across the Jewish world. As for me, I think it was his singing of the Max Helfman composition of Shema Kolenu that made its way into the deepest recesses of my heart. Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu, hear our voice, Lord our God, have compassion upon us, and with that compassion accept our prayer. This song, sung by Cantor Silverman on the holiest day of the year, at the eve of Yom Kippur Kol Nidre service, was rendered with such emotion, such devotion. Every note was offered with sincerity. It was his moment to beseech God to be near the people for whom he offered this prayer. And to be present for it, one surely felt that God was answering in response to this supplication. Cantor Silverman will also be remembered for the authenticity he brought to every piece he sang, whether composed by him or by someone from a distant time and land. His interpretation carried an unmistakable depth. His voice and presence had a way of making any composition feel as though it was what our tradition calls Sinai, handed down at Sinai, imbued with timeless significance. His rendering of music transcended generations, linking worshipers to those who came before and those who would follow, creating an unbroken chain of tradition and faith. Cantor Silverman upheld the highest standards in designing and offering a music program at Temple Israel. On top of his own impeccable preparation for every occasion, he was joined by his original organist, Dr. Edward Thompson, a virtuoso of his craft. followed by the gifted Mike Lentowski, who has blessed our temple with his talent for a quarter of a century, and for whom I know the loss of Cantor Silverman, his dear friend, is profound. They accompanied the cantor on our sanctuary's glorious organ, offering the music of our tradition together. The cantor's own spirited guitar playing with some of his music became a signature. Cantor Silverman established a brilliant professional choir that joined him to fill our sanctuary with music in praise of God. Cantor Silverman's pursuit of excellence led our temple to exemplify the best and highest ideals of how music can be offered to enhance worship. This came naturally to him as a third-generation leader of prayer and son of the renowned cantor Saul Silverman, who was lauded in the press as Dean of West Coast Cantors in his day. How blessed we are to claim part of their generational legacy as our own. Together with Rabbi Orkand, Cantor Silverman led Temple Israel through what has been a golden age of growth, influence, and prosperity. They sustained the legacy inherited from their predecessors, but brought this congregation to a new position of prominence that we uphold today. 2 major additions and renovations to our building and this sacred space continue to stand as physical tokens of the achievements of their leadership chapter in the history of our congregation. I was so fortunate to have spent considerable time with Cantor Silverman. Our conversations always flowed from one subject to the next in the kind of easy exchange one cherishes with a long-standing friend. His stories about the early years before his ordination, his education, honors received over his career, meeting Batya, raising a family together, the journeys they took to the congregations he served. We covered so much ground. He felt such warmth for his congregants. He loved celebrating with all of us, and he was ready to comfort when the moment called for it. He was always happy to have updates on congregants who let him know good news in their lives. He loved being a part of all of these life stories. My fondest memories of our time together center on Gal and I visiting with him numerous times to prepare for our wedding ceremony 8 years ago. Cantor Silverman officiated our ceremony in the cathedral-like sanctuary of New York's Temple Emmanuel, which seats 2,500 and rises 10 stories. As soon as Cantor Silverman began to sing, his legendary voice filled that soaring space, and I thought to myself, he's still got it. Every note was sung with warmth, friendship, and faith. Standing beneath the chuppah and taking in his majestic music was a blessed moment in time that Gal, my family, and I shall never forget. I want Batya, Sarit, Elon, Heather, Sarah, Jacob, and Emmy to know that we are grateful to them for sharing their husband, father, and grandfather with all of us. Cantor Silverman's path was one that required him to spend considerable time available for all of us. Thank you for supporting him and his calling to lead this flock. Life is eternal when you dedicate your life to doing God's work. Cantor Silverman's indelible legacy cannot be summarized in tributes, long or short. Rather, it will always reverberate within these walls. My faith sustains me. All I have and all I am flow from it. I would not be the man of resolute faith that I am had it not been nurtured by Cantor Silverman. This is a gift that I will always have. I'm grateful that God shared this treasured soul with us during my time. I want to close with the cantor's own words. I found an exchange he shared with a friend over Facebook just a few weeks ago. He wrote to his friend, "Religious music, including mine, is written to touch the heart and soul of the listener. My music also comes from my heart and soul. I want the listener to be part of 2,000 years of tradition as well as today. There is truth in Judaism. May his voice continue to echo in our hearts, guiding us in song, faith, and friendship. Amen.
Richard's grandchildren, Sarah, Jacob, and Emmy.
Wow. Thank you all for coming today. This is truly a testament of how loved Grandpa was and will continue to be. He had so many influences on my life, but I think the two biggest that we shared were our love of music and our pride in being Jewish. We should have compared notes. Our love of music was shared, but came in different fonts. He was a cantor, guitarist, and songwriter, while I played clarinet, conducted the band, and loved live music in any form. Almost every time I saw him, he'd asked if my friends and I had been to any concerts lately. The answer was almost always yes, and I would tell him who I saw, which he'd often reply, "Never heard of him." He and Bubby made a point to be at every performance from elementary school to high school, and we know how rough those recorder concerts can be. Growing up in the family of a cantor definitely gave me a unique perspective on being Jewish. Starting in preschool, I was never shy to tell people who my grandpa was at Temple. Cantor Silverman is my grandpa. I never turned down the chance to join Grandpa and Rabbi Orkan on the Bima when the opportunity arose. Purim became a family favorite, with the Temple's themed celebrations from the circus to the Wizard of Oz. He and the rest of the clergy were always in costume. And yes, he did dress up as the Wicked Witch of the West, green face dress and all. Grandpa was always happy and proud to share our faith with friends and our extended family. He would happily teach the blessings and translate anytime a friend came for Shabbat or Passover. These moments made me so proud to share our faith and tradition with my friends. It wasn't until I went on my birthright trip in 2012 how big of an impact his music had on the Jewish community. In a group of almost 50 people from all over the country, almost everyone on the trip knew his song, Tree of Life. My trip leader, when she got wind of it, was like, "You're Cantor Silverman's granddaughter? He's just about Jewish songwriting royalty," which he was happy to hear when I reported back. I know how proud he was to be my grandpa. But I hope he knew how proud I am to be his granddaughter. Thank you.
Death is usually something that is met with tears and sorrow. But a friend once told me that a funeral is better spent celebrating the life of our loved one, so that we remember the happy moments and all the good that they had done. I realize now that in this family we cry. My grandfather lived a very long, happy, and pure life, and he spread so much love and joy throughout this community, which is shown with how many people came here today. I never even heard him really use profanity, but thankfully my father taught me that. While I am incredibly sad that he is no longer physically with us, his work in this community will be felt for generations. That has positively affected so many families. I know that he was so loved because of the frequent calls that he would receive during family dinners, Shabbat, and even Passover. And because he didn't know how to use his phone, he always would accidentally answer them and wouldn't know how to hang up. But luckily, we always got to hear the love that he would receive from who was calling. My favorite memory of my grandfather was when he performed at my 6th grade graduation. And like many others, he had written a song for the occasion. And growing up in public schools with very few Jewish peers, it was a very unfamiliar thing, and I got teased quite a bit for my grandfather being there and performing. But I was so proud because a lot of them didn't even have their grandparents there, because they didn't have the greatest grandfather that you could ask for. His commitment to dressing up for Purim was also a favorite amongst the children, and especially his grandkids, until he dressed up as a clown, giving my sister lifelong phobia of clowns, which, as her brother, I will be forever grateful for. He left some very big shoes to fill and a great legacy that I could only dream of upholding. Passover is going to be very out of tune without him, but his songs and music will continue to be a part of our family traditions for generations, and I hope everyone's traditions. So long as we continue to sing his songs and perform his music, he will always be with us. Thank you.
My grandpa was filled with laughter and jokes and songs and back rubs. He would sit there and kiss my cheek and rub my back for hours while he asked me questions to get me to talk, and he would genuinely listen and seem intrigued. Grandpa was never someone who would rush me, or say something I've ever had to say off, but someone who cared about my life and watched me grow up as I watched him grow older as well. My grandpa taught me how to love, how to truly love from the inside of my heart and soul. When he used to sing to all of us, he would take a deep breath and tell me he got his voice from the inside of his diaphragm. Right now, I'm taking that deep breath. Coming here and seeing how many people are alongside me who loved him dearly reminds me that his memory will live on forever. My grandpa made sure he knew how proud he was to be my grandpa. For those of you who don't know, I currently go to Temple University. Every time he knew I was coming home for a weekend, him and Booby would wear their Temple grandparent hoodies and make sure to point it out to me. Sorry. I would hear him tell people about my school, and he even came to visit me this year during Parents' Weekend with my family. Temple is over a 4-hour drive one way, but him and Booby insisted on coming and couldn't wait to visit. I hope that he knows how much this means to me. I remind my family all the time that I'm the favorite grandchild. Even when I was super young, he never corrected me, and that always made me giggle. The first and last thing I do when we hang out together is give a big kiss on the cheek along with a hug. I wish I could hug him again. Thank you. Oh, and who the heck is gonna hide the afikoman now? Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you all for such beautiful words. Just over a year ago, in preparation for our congregation's 75th anniversary, we invited several members of our congregation, many of you are here, to sit down for an interview, a video interview. And so, with thanks to our congregants, Danny and Sharon and Mary, we all now get to hear from Cantor Richard Silverman in his own words. Thank you, Sean.
I'm Cantor Richard Barry Silverman. I came to Temple Israel in Westport in 1988. One of the things that made me different was that I played guitar. and I have been a Jewish summer camp song leader for a number of years in Northern California and Saratoga. At the time, I wrote some songs as well, and I have a songbook with about probably 100 songs in it that's available. I wrote music for the services. I wrote songs for the religious school. I went into the nursery school and the religious school and sang songs with them and taught them songs. I have 2 songs that are very popular around the world. One is called Tree of Life, and if you go on iTunes, one of the 8 and that album never sold anything. And the other song, which is a Mika Mocha, has a chorus that's and those 2 songs the congregation knows very well. They insist that I do those 2 songs, and I'm ready to do others. You can hear the sound of the whole congregation singing and clapping and things like that. So they're very receptive. The other thing I did was at the bar in Bat Mitzvah, I would write a song for this kid. Like there was one kid who didn't think he could do it, so I wrote a song about he did it, he didn't, he did it, he didn't think he could do it, but he did it. I had a girl in California whose last name was Eskimos, and I wrote a song, Nobody Knows, like Amy Eskimo. People still remember the song I wrote for their kid, because most of the time we did recordings of the service on tape and then later on CDs, and they have that in their collection, and I always gave them the words. Often the melodies were similar to most of the song, but it was my way of speaking to the kids at the bar about mitzvah ceremony. And of course, those songs that I wrote about the kid have a lasting effect on the family, that people will tell me that the kids remember, and that they play the recording every once in a while. So I know I can make that connection. I think I'm probably one of the only cantors who write songs like that. I love working with the kids. The nursery school kids, the B'nai Mitzvah kids, and various times I did music for the religious school as well. To have them learn the songs and feel their Judaism internally was always a good feeling to have them sing at the top of their lungs. Great. Well, there's 2 ways. One, a melody comes into my head. I don't know where it comes from, but it's there. And then I would add words to it. Sometimes there's certain songs like Mi Kamocha or Adon Olam, where whatever the melody is, you can put that text to it. You can do Adon Olam Asher Mala, which is a Christmas song. Or sometimes, like I wrote a song during the Vietnam War about an anti-war song, because I was a conscientious objector. The morning mist descends upon an earth so sound asleep, the hours pass so swiftly do they go. My problem is I can't remember the words to my song. The poetry comes first, and then the melody. I know that when I sing something that touches my heart, I have the ability to communicate that to the listener. I can sense it going into the ear of the listener. I can almost picture the connection going from my voice into their hearing. And I know that it works because after the service, certain people will come up to me and say, that meant a lot to me. That I heard it. So the chorus is, Shalom, Shalom, clap, 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 clap. Shalom, 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 Shalom. The fourth time is, Shalom, Shalom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it. All supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it. All supporters are happy. Shalom, Shalom. Write the flaps. Flaps that can't swing after I've gone.
A blessing to hear Cantor Silverman's voice and to see his face with that characteristic playfulness, correcting us on the way we sing his Eitz Chaim, letting us know that we're wrong, but with love and with a twinkle in his eye. Before I knew Cantor Silverman and his loving, playful spirit, I knew his music. His Mi Chamocha, which many confirmation classes at my former congregation, Central Synagogue, selected as their favorite Mi Chamocha melody for their confirmation services. I also knew his Tree of Life, his Eitz Chaim, a beloved melody for many congregations and camps around the country, which we'll now have to make sure that we're singing correctly. I was excited to meet the man behind these melodies and honored to be connected with him through Temple Israel. Of course, he was embracing and welcoming from the start. He told me how happy he was that I had joined the clergy team and gifted me a beautiful talit adorned with music notes. We shared many warm conversations over the years, and we loved singing together. Hearing his beautiful voice ring out through our sanctuary was a highlight of the High Holy Days for me, and I think for all of us. When Cantor Man joined our team, he was supportive of her too, characteristically. He loved her compositions, and he often asked her for sheet music so that he could sing her music for the Shabbat services he led for he and Batya's River Valley retirement community. A mentoring cantor who lifts up and celebrates his cantorial colleagues is exactly the kind of mensch we all want to be when we grow up. There is so much about Cantor Silverman to admire. I found it always moving and quite impressive that of the many responsibilities that come with serving a large congregation, Cantor Silverman managed to prioritize special songs for each B'nai Mitzvah child. And that creativity was bigger than the songs themselves because it ensured that his musical offerings were personal and intimately connected to the congregants he served, moving, as he described, from his mouth to our hearts. In 1973, he wrote one of his first B'nai Mitzvah songs entitled Growth for his niece Audrey Friedman. His daughter Serene shared, "The whole song reminds me of the mensch he was." In it, he shares wisdom that we will carry with us as we grieve him and search for a path forward. He says, "To grow is to want to find yourself, to ask and not demand, to appreciate the gifts you have, and to share with all you can. In the Song of Songs it is written, "For love is stronger than death, it is the flame of God." Cantor Silverman, the gifts you gave this congregation, your love, your song, and your beautiful neshama, your soul, these are things that death has not and cannot touch. To grow is to want to be yourself, stand up for what you are. But if you think you know it all, you won't journey very far. It's good to look ahead, that's true. Don't forget to look behind. The highway's forming stage by stage. Who knows what you shall find? To grow is to want to find yourself, to ask and not demand, to appreciate the gifts you have, and to share with all you can. To say sometimes I think you're wrong without hurting those who care. Knowing you're not always right, but right or wrong, you're fair. To grow is to want to give yourself. You're a branch upon a tree. The roots that strain to nurture you are the ones that fashioned me. Together we spend time searching. Together we share this trust. To love and understanding, our limbs won't turn to dust. To grow is to want to find yourself. To grow is to want to be. To grow is to want to give yourself. To grow is to be free.
Words by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder, lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses, restored yet never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed.
What beautiful words and music we've all had a chance to experience in this space this morning. As we move toward the conclusion of this funeral service, I want you to know that burial will follow immediately at Temple Israel Cemetery in Norwalk, and then Shiva will begin. Shiva will be observed at the River Valley Retirement Community, 101 Oakview Drive in Trumbull, today, following the burial until 7:30 p.m., and then tomorrow and Thursday from 6 to 7:30 p.m., with a minyan each evening at 6:30 p.m. At this time, we invite all to rise for the memorial prayer on behalf of the beautiful departed soul of Cantor Richard Silverman, Hechazan Yerach Miel Baruch, Ben Hechazan Chaim Tzadik Umalka.
El Male Rachamim, Shochen Bamramim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Uteharim, Kezahar Harakim Masirim, Et Nishmat Hechazan Yerachmiel Baruch Ben Hechazan Chaim Tzadik Umalka Shehalach Leolamo Baal Harachamim Yastirehu Beseter Kanafav Lolamim Vitror Bitror HaChaim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato Ve'yanuach Meshalom Al Mishkavo Ve'nomar Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Cantor Richard Barry Silverman, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
At this time, I'd like to invite all the clergy present, including Cantor Scott Harris and Rabbi Alyssa Mendelson Graff, to serve as pallbearers as we escort Cantor Richard Silverman out of our sanctuary one final time.
Shalom, 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 shalom. Show